comprehensive security and stability and sustainable development in the OSCE area through women's economic empowerment. This forum is not only the most important event in the economic and environmental dimension, but also presents a significant opportunity to highlight the OSCE concept of comprehensive security, as gender equality is an issue which cuts through all three dimensions of the organization. The agenda for the concluding meeting of the 29th Economic and Environmental Forum has been issued under the reference number EF.GAL/10/21 Rev 3. Before entering into the topic of today's discussions, please allow me also to extend a special thanks to the interpreters for the work they're going to pursue throughout the days, and to the OSCE staff, both in Vienna and in Prague, for helping organize this event. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to the OSCE Chairperson in Office, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ms. Ann Linde, then the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jakob Kulhanek, and the OSCE Secretary General, Ms. Helga Schmidt. Finally, I would also like to warmly welcome all participants to today's meeting. So, dear colleagues, we are pleased to have you here and hope we will have fruitful discussions on this very important matter at hand. If you would allow me to say a few words on the overall rules guiding this blended session. I would also kindly ask the participants participating via Zoom to mute their audios and disable their cameras. This will help avoiding background noises and saving bandwidth. I would also like to inform you that the welcoming remarks of this session are being live streamed on the OSCE websites. So, dear Excellencies, friends and colleagues, in this year's Economic and Environmental Forum, the Swedish chairpersonship has attempted to build on already existing OSCE commitments on women's economic empowerment and meaningful participation, while also providing an opportunity for reflecting on the continued relevance of these commitments in all our societies today, and exploring the value of enhanced role for the OSCE in advancing women's economic empowerment and gender equality in our region. So during this year's forum cycle, I've been happy to see the strong continued support of all OSCE's participating states for this important issue. We know that gender equal societies, where human rights are fully enjoyed by all, are more secure, with better prospect for sustainable, resilient, and prosperous development. It is therefore essential that this ambition remains at the center of our efforts to create more safe and prosperous societies in the OSCE region. In working to achieve this goal, cooperation with international as well as national stakeholders is absolutely vital, and the importance of civil society organizations, in particular women's rights organizations, in contributing to those efforts should not be underestimated. The economic and environmental dimension of the OSCE has an important role to play when it comes to revitalizing dialogue and rebuilding trust among the participating states. I hope to see this spirit in our discussions today and tomorrow. Over the coming 2 days, I look forward to productive exchange and active engagement of all participants. In concluding, I would like to thank all of you again for your participation in this year's forum cycle and for your dedication to this topic of high importance for all of us. So with those introductory words, it is my privilege and honor to give the floor to our first distinguished speaker in this session, the OSCE Chairperson in Office, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ms. Ann Linde. Please, Foreign Minister, the floor and the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Ulrika. Your Excellencies, Minister, Secretary General, distinguished participants. I'm happy that you have joined us for the concluding meeting on the 29th OSCE Economic and Environmental Forum, both via physical participation here in Churning Palace, as well as online. I would like to start by thanking Foreign Minister Kulhanek for the warm hospitality and the support of the Czech Republic that shows that the OSCE, and for its economic and environmental dimension in particular, by providing the venue for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the economic and environmental dimension is an essential component of the OSCE comprehensive concept of security, where we acknowledge that human security encompasses so much more than hard security. The link to security should be at the center of all discussions in the OSCE, and it is for this reason that Sweden chose women's economic empowerment as focus of this year's economic and environmental forum cycle, because it's directly linked to our security in the OSCE region. To achieve sustainable peace and security for all, we must ensure that women and girls have a chance to be involved in political decision-making process that affect their daily lives and safety. To achieve this, the economic empowerment of women and girls is key. Economic empowerment can give women the means to leave violent relationships and take control over their lives. It impacts the ability to safeguard the individual security of women across the OSCE region. When I visited OSCE mission in Kosovo in July, together with the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women, Åsa Regnér, we met with women civil society actors, as I do on all my travels. Among them were NGOs who provided shelters for women who have experienced domestic violence. They stressed the need for these women to have an income in order to build a new life. Just one example of the concrete importance of the work we do on these issues for individual women and families. My advisory group on women, peace and security has also stressed that women economic empowerment is vital for the implementation of the women, peace and security agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from being a security issue, women's economic empowerment is also central for sustainable development and economic growth. Development and harnessing 1/2 of the world's available talent will have a huge impact on growth, competitiveness, and environmental sustainability of economies and businesses worldwide, including in the OSCE region. We know that women and girls are among those worst affected by the current pandemic. They are overrepresented in low-paid, low productivity, and informal jobs. They are often excluded from formal social protection schemes. Women have been the first to lose their jobs or to step back from their careers due to the pandemic. We have also seen an increase in violence against women, including domestic violence. This has been linked to drastically reduced access to basic health services, including sexual and reproductive health services, impeding women's and girls' possibility to enjoy these and other human rights. When rebuilding from the pandemic, we have a chance to make it right by integrating a gender analysis in our recovery packages, as well as in our public policies and budgeting. Economic empowerment of women largely benefits individual women and girls. For example, when men and boys step in and take an equal responsibility for the unpaid care and housework, or when a woman starts a business or takes on a leadership role, and when girls get equal access to quality education. All those individuals, men, women, boys, and girls, are great gender equality champions. However, the work for gender equality and women's economic empowerment has to take place on a systematic and societal level. To make sure that all individuals have the same opportunities to fulfill their potential, we need to build a gender-responsive public governance system and counteract discriminatory laws and policies. We have to create gender-responsive social protection system and ensure women's equal access to productive employment. At the same time, we need to bridge the gender digital divide, make quality education and job opportunities equally available to women and girls. I want us all to recognize the gender mainstream trade policies and trade agreement as a prerequisite for fairer, more inclusive and sustainable economic growth. This work cannot be achieved by a single individual. As participating states, we have to work for reforms and policy change together, in close cooperation with civil society, in particular with trade unions and women's rights organizations. The aim has to be to promote women and girls' economic empowerment in all stages of life and gender equality. Ladies and gentlemen, Sweden will put forward a draft ministerial council decision on women's economic empowerment 10 years after the Vilnius decision on promoting equal opportunity for women in the economic sphere. In 2021, a decade after we last affirmed the importance of this topic, and while we are witnessing the consequences of the pandemic on women and girls in our region, Sweden thinks that it's high time that OSCE participating states join forces once again to advance our common commitments on this important topic. I look forward to today's discussions. I'm sure that it will contribute to our common understanding of the complexity of this issue. Ladies and gentlemen, Sweden also plans to put forward draft ministerial council decision on the topics of environment and security and climate and security. The climate crisis, biodiversity crisis, and pollution already kill millions of people every year. Our common task is to counteract tensions stemming from climate change and the loss of biodiversity and to reduce climate-related security risks. When I visited Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan in April, the effects of climate change on especially water resources came up in many of my conversations. When the glaciers are melting at a faster speed than before, it creates new challenges in people's everyday lives, both upstream and downstream. The drying of the Aral Sea has been called one of the planet's worst environmental disasters. To mitigate these changes and reduce the risk of water scarcity leading to conflict, we need cooperation on local, regional, and international level. We need to better understand the pathways between climate and security, as well as gender equality. An integrated approach is needed. The analysis has to be integrated into country analysis, diplomatic reporting, development cooperation project design, and crisis management operations. By working together, we can turn potential risk for conflicts into opportunities. It is important that the OSCE, as the world's largest regional security organization, and with a strong mandate to work with both environmental and economic issues, maintains an active discussion on how this organization can complement other international organizations world regarding environmental security, including climate and security. Ladies and gentlemen, by acting now and working together towards a more sustainable, inclusive, and gender equal development, we have a chance to curb economic and environmental security risks and build more sustainable, peaceful, and democratic societies in the OSCE. The empowerment of women and girls is vital to achieve this change. Let us show that the OSCE is ready to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister, for your welcoming remarks. I would also like to pass the floor to our next speaker, the distinguished Minister for Foreign Affairs, Jakub Kulhanek, for his welcoming remarks. Minister, the floor and screen is yours.
All right, now it's on. Sorry. Well, thank you, and very warm welcome to everybody. Well, dear Minister Linde, dear Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to everyone, and please welcome at the concluding meeting of the 29th OSCE Economic and Environmental Forum. A special welcome to OSCE Chairperson in Office, Swedish Foreign Minister Ann Linde, and OSCE Secretary General Helga Schmidt. This meeting traditionally takes place in Prague, here in the beautiful Chernin Palace. And I'm particularly happy that most of you are here in person today. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is unfortunate that still some of you haven't been able to travel to Prague, but at least you are joining us online. So once again, welcome to everybody here in Prague, and very warm welcome to all of you who are joining us online. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed the fault lines of today's interconnected world. This virus simply doesn't stop at borders. All the restrictive measures have profoundly affected our lives. However, those most severely affected have been women and girls, especially those living in precarious and unstable conditions. This brings me to the title of this meeting: Promoting Comprehensive Security, Stability, and Sustainable Development in the OSCE area through women's economic empowerment. As women are more exposed to the consequences of the pandemic, be it in their roles as primary caretakers at households or as primary frontline health workers, we must ensure that all recovery plans provide adequate gender-sensitive support programs so as to accommodate all the specific needs of women and girls. As for the Czech Republic, promoting women's economic empowerment and their participation in public life, as well as gender equality, these are our long-term priorities. We are proud to support projects focusing on women's involvement in politics or women taking up leadership positions. In line with our long-term policy of involving all relevant stakeholders in the decision-making, we implement these measures in close cooperation with NGOs and other members of the civil society. The government has recently adopted a new gender equality strategy and a new employment policy strategic framework. Both strategic documents represent our vision of a modern employment policy. Colleagues from our Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs will tell you more about specific projects tomorrow in the morning session. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has also proven that no institution or state actor can take on many economic, environmental, or social challenges of today's complex world just on its own. The best way to succeed in reviving our economies and societies is a collective response. International cooperation is therefore the most effective way to contain the virus and to emerge stronger from the crisis. I'm convinced that the OSCE has an important role to play in this effort. The Czech Republic seeks to contribute to achieving progress in all OSCE dimensions. Unfortunately, the overall picture of the security environment in the OSCE area remains deeply worrying. We see a number of persisting crises and conflicts while the OSCE principles and commitments are being deliberately violated. Facing the complexity of the current security challenges and threats, we need to update the tools and mechanisms we have. Moreover, we have hit some serious roadblocks as we struggle to implement our joint OSCE commitments. I mean, look no further than the latest very difficult negotiations on the annual Security Review Conference, or the Human Dimension Implementation Meeting, or us trying to agree on the unified budget. And again, there's no magic bullet solution to this unsatisfactory state of affairs. But I mean, for us as the OSCE to succeed in our crucial mission, we need more political will and more genuine engagement on part of all participating states. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, let me assure you that my country remains deeply committed to our constructive and active role in the OSCE. I would like to reiterate our full support in this regard to Sweden as the OSCE chair and its successors. Finally, I would like to use this opportunity to express my gratitude to the 2021 Swedish OSCE chairpersonship and to the OSCE Secretariat for organizing this event. I wish you all an inspiring and fruitful debate over the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Foreign Minister Kulhanek. Let me also thank you for the hospitality and the devotion which the Czech Republic shows for the OSCE by inter alia providing the venue for this meeting, but also for hosting the documentation center here in Prague. So thank you very much. Our last speaker in the opening session is the OSCE Secretary General Helga Schmidt. I'm pleased to give the floor now to you, Helga. Now it stays, okay. So again, thank you very much, dear Ambassador Funeret, dear Ulrika, ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. I would like to join previous speakers in welcoming you to this final meeting of the Economic and Environmental Forum. And it's a particular pleasure for me also to be able to address you in person today. Earlier in the year, our first and second preparatory meetings have laid the groundwork for a better understanding of the nexus between women's empowerment, sustainable development, and security. And this year's forum cycle has also heightened our awareness that gender equality remains a persistent feature in all of our societies, and that we must do more to promote women's social, but also women's economic participation. Progress has been slow, and in some cases, unfortunately, has been reversed. And COVID-19 has been a major factor, and our chairperson referred to it, because its economic fallout has indeed amplified the gender employment gap and has shattered professional opportunities for millions of women and girls. To rebound from this setback, policymakers and business leaders must reaffirm their resolve to achieve gender equality and to act to advance women's economic empowerment. But the underlying problem has persisted for far too long. Countless women and girls have seen their potential either unrecognized or their aspirations ignored or their achievements denied. So this age-old discrimination carries hefty economic costs too. First, let's consider the gender pay gap. Can we reasonably justify that women are paid less than men for the same work with the same level of qualifications? And why is unpaid care work estimated by McKinsey at $10 trillion annually worldwide, classified as leisure time and given zero value in gross domestic product? The gender pay gap is one of the reasons why 70% of the world's poor are women and girls. Second, there's a career opportunity gap. Now, it's maybe not the best example, but over 150 men have worked in space, but just a handful of women. Why is this? Especially since women mathematicians have played an essential part in putting men there in the first place, as we know now. And why are men still preferred to women on company corporate boards, even though there are plenty of women with the right background and with the right expertise? Economists have established that gender equality in our labor markets could add many trillion of dollars and euros to our economies. So can we really afford to forego such sums every year? And then there's the digital divide, as also has been referred to. And here I always quote what Secretary General Guterres said in the Paris Generation Equality Forum, when he said that a man's credit limit can be up to 20 times higher than that of his wife, simply because of biased algorithms. So flawed metrics have become the basis for economic decision-making, distorting policies, and ultimately denying women equal opportunities. The limited involvement of women and girls in digital technologies is also narrowing the scope of innovation, and it's making inventions less useful for everyone. In this context, I very much look forward to a new initiative currently underway. Our gender issues program has reached out to our field operations in Central Asia to ask for assistance in mapping policies to promote gender equality in digitalization. We want to get an overview of what's available before making targeted efforts of our own, for instance, in support of women in technology networks. Let me also highlight our undertaking to close the gender digital divide at the OSCE. In the framework of the Generation Equality Forum meeting in Paris earlier this year, I have committed to ensuring that 80% of all our technology innovation projects, programs, and activities are fully gender mainstream by 2026. Striking a better balance is essential if we want to build back better and develop more just and solid foundations for stable and for secure societies. And I would fully support our chairperson in office. The forthcoming Stockholm Ministerial Council meeting provides a very timely opportunity for OSCE participating states to lead by example. As our governments design and implement post-COVID-19 recovery plans, the adoption of substantial commitments on women's economic empowerment would be very timely and would signal our staunch determination to leave no one behind. We must re-energize our efforts to create a more equal, just and sustainable OSCE region where women and men can make full use of their talents and aspirations and more fully contribute to our common good and security. And talking about common good and security, also in this context, I would like to underline that the need for equal security for women and girls in Afghanistan. Before concluding, also a word on climate change. It's been indeed a summer of extremes with unprecedented heat waves, floods, and wildfires across the OSCE region. And its most recent report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has presented findings and regional projections that truly have alarmed us all. Women and men experience the impacts of climate change differently. Climate change is not gender neutral, nor should our response be. As stated in the Gender Action Plan, agreed by the parties to the Paris Agreement, women's economic empowerment is also central here. It's also central to climate policy. Active involvement and empowerment of women in all spheres of climate action is essential for the transition to a greener, more sustainable, and more equitable economy. And this includes promoting women's leadership in climate processes, improving access to green jobs, and encouraging to drive innovation and entrepreneurship in the green economy. Through our current OSCE project on climate security, we are raising awareness, we are identifying potential hotspots, and we are assessing the potential impact of climate change on security. But in using a regional and participatory approach, there is scope for us to do more to better understand and to better address the emerging risks, also through a gender lens. I would like to thank, as ever, the Swedish chairpersonship for prioritizing both climate security and women's economic empowerment, and for giving us the unique opportunity to explore policy options in both areas, because they are both interlinked, so in a comprehensive and in a complementary manner. And again, also I would like to thank our Czech hosts for their hospitality in this beautiful city, and all of you in advance for your active participation and cooperative spirit during this meeting. Thank you very much. Now, thank you very much, dear Helga, the Secretary General. I would also like to express my gratitude to all the three distinguished speakers for their welcoming remarks. I think they will provide an excellent basis for our discussions during the coming 2 days.